dead, 3 hospitalized after car slams into hearse in Berbice. 4-year-old killed by drunk driver on Sheriff Street. Taxi driver gunned down in alAdha. Black boy stabbed to death during row with 16-year-old. And alAdha celebrated nationwide.
Good evening and Eid Mubarak to all Guyanese. I am Jerisa Francis with this edition of the Evening News. As crime continues to spiral out of control, a driver attached to the 007 taxi service was on Sunday evening killed execution style in alBoystown, Georgetown. Bisham Mohammed has the details in this report.
Less than a minute after dropping off food for a resident in King Edward Street, alBoystown, Georgetown, 42-year-old Oswald Rambaran of Lot 93 West Romveld was shot and killed by 2 men on a motorcycle. The shooting incident occurred at about 2100 hours. Based on information received, the now dead man was contacted by a resident in the area to collect food from a restaurant, and as he made the delivery, the 2 men pulled alongside him and pumped several bullets to his head before riding off the scene. The motive for the shooting is yet to be established, but according to reports, the now dead man had prior brushes with the law. At the home of the dead man, his reputed wife, Dolly Yard, with whom he lived for 11 years, explained when she became aware of the shooting.
Around about 8:30, something to 9, I get a call. I heard my children's father was being shot and at Georgetown Hospital. When I fly down there, I saw Junior was panting for breath. It had but so much bucket with blood in the thing. I called up him. I said, Junior, what happened? Junior, what happened? There was no response to me. No part of his body had no bullet ring. But his head.
Just one bullet placed in his head.
That is what they claiming to say. But I didn't see it. They claiming to say is one. I don't know if it's more than one. Because remember, it's already done bandage.
She also noted that if the hospital had taken Rambaran into surgery without hesitation, he might have still been alive.
Why they gonna do the scan and wait for his relatives come to have the money? That is my thing. Why they gonna put him through the scan and take the bullet out his left side head? So they didn't do anything. So he died with the bullet in his head.
However, she noted that the father of 6 did not have any enemies, while refuting claims that he was previously charged.
I lived 11 long years with him. 11 long years I spent with Oswald Jr. Rambaran. I never know he was a thief man. I never knew he was a breaking enter to nobody home also. If you ask me, get a little accident to them kind of thing, I would say yes. But those things, never.
Based on reports received back in 2008, he was shot by the police during a high-speed chase after he and an accomplice were seen forcing a man into the trunk of his taxi. The police have since launched an investigation into the execution-style killing of the taxi driver. No arrests have been made. Bisham Mohammed, The Evening News.
Road fatalities continue to skyrocket with the recent death of a 4-year-old girl following an accident on Saturday evening on Sheriff Street, Georgetown. Here is Bisham Mohammed once again with the details.
4-year-old Abiola Providence of Newtown Kitty died on the spot after she was flung out of the vehicle in which she was traveling on Saturday evening along Sheriff Street. Her mother, Abiola Trotman, and grandmother, who were in the vehicle at the time, would have sustained injuries and were admitted to the hospital. Based on information received, the now dead girl and her relatives were heading home when a white Toyota Tundra with registration GPP 3500 driven by a 19-year-old man reportedly jumped the traffic light at Sheriff and Garnet Streets and slammed into their vehicle. The child, who was in the rear passenger's seat, was flung out of the vehicle and landed on the roadway. After the accident, the teenage driver, who was under the influence of alcohol, was collected by a group of men and rushed to a city hospital, where he remains a patient under police guards. At the scene on Saturday evening, it was pure chaos. Moments after the horrific accident, the child's father, who goes by the name Pastry Man, and other relatives arrived and were too distraught to look at the child, as she lay on the roadway with severe head injuries. From all indication, the drunk driver and another relative left a party to purchase ice, and it was on their way back the accident took place. The vehicle driven by the teenager belongs to C. Ramnarai 19 of First Avenue, Bartica, Essequibo. The driver of the car in which the child was traveling was also taken into police custody as they continue their investigations. Bisham Mohammed, Evening News.
Hours after stabbing to death a greens vendor at Border Market, the suspect, a 16-year-old boy, was arrested and is expected to be charged as soon as tomorrow for the capital offense of murder. Omrich Black Boy Chetram, 32, of Unity Mahaika, East Coast Demerara, was stabbed once to the lower abdomen by a teenager during an argument in the wee hours of Sunday on Robb Street between Border and Alexander Streets, Georgetown. It was reported that Chetram, who is usually armed with a cutlass, was in front of the stall of the teenager's mother when he was confronted by the young man who asked him to remove. However, an argument ensued and Chetram whipped out his cutlass, threatening the teenager. In retaliation, the young man reportedly grabbed a knife from a nearby stall and stabbed the man to the abdomen. Chetram has had several brushes with the law, including incidents of break and enter and larceny. On August 25th, he was before the courts for breaking and entering a shop in the Border area. The Guyana Muslim community today celebrated alAdha, where believers were reminded of the ultimate sacrifice. Shemuel Fanfare has the details in this report.
Muslims across the country have joined in celebrating today's festival of sacrifice, or alAdha. On this observance, Muslims dress in their finest garments and gather in large groups to offer prayers. This was followed by the sacrifice of halal animals, usually sheep, bulls, or goats. This period celebrates the ultimate sacrifice made by Abraham, where in a dream Allah appeared and asked that he sacrifice his son, whom Muslims believe to be Ishmael, to show his devotion to the Creator. Missionary in charge of Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat Guyana, Ashan Ulaman Gat, tells us more.
He was able to consult with his son. So when he spoke to his son, that's what I'm seeing in a dream, and his son responded, if it's from God, then you can go ahead, you will find me obedient. So both the son and the father was very obedient to the command of God, though it was a dream, and interpreted by his own way by Abraham, his willingness to sacrifice his son. But while they was both willing to do it, God commanded them that dream does not mean to be fulfilled literally. Rather, Ishmael was ransomed with a ram.
Mangat added that the story is a lesson for how fathers and their sons should relate.
Prophet Abraham and Prophet Ishmael, son and father relationship. Now, father seeing in a dream, son didn't see anything in a dream, but his father told him, and son is willing to accept and obey his father. So that is a lesson how we should live as a son and father. If I'm a father, that my son should also give that support to me. If I'm a son, I should give that support to my father. So this is also a life living lesson.
According to tradition, the meat from the sacrificed animal is often divided into 3 parts, one for family members, another part given out to relatives, friends, and neighbors, while the other is distributed to the poor and those in need. On Eid al-Adha, Muslims visit family and friends and may give gifts and money to each other. Additionally, some believers set aside certain amounts of money to prepare food and also to buy clothes for those who are in need.
2 brothers are now nursing injuries about their body after they were attacked and brutally stabbed by a group of men at a wedding house at Waterloo Street, Bath Settlement, West Coast, Berbice on Saturday evening. The injured men are 31-year-old Kemraj Joda and 36-year-old Jaggernaut Joda of Bath Settlement, West Coast, Berbice. According to reports received, another brother of the 2 injured men had a misunderstanding with another man whom he claimed slapped him. He, however, called out to his brothers who confronted the accused, but they were greeted by 4 men armed with broken bottles. The younger brother sustained a stab wound to his neck, while the others received several about his body. The injured men were taken to the Fort Wellington Hospital, where they were treated and admitted. Police have launched investigation into the matter. No arrests have been made. Chinese bank Bai Shanlin discussed future in Guyana. A PNU-AFC coalition doing a fantastic job, says Ramtan. These and more coming up after the break. Thank you for staying with us. High-level meetings are currently being held in China with stakeholders of Bai Shanlin International Foresters Development, Inc. to determine their future in Guyana. Here is more in this report.
The meetings are being held with a view of determining the fate of the Chinese logging company in Guyana and whether there will be any further investments locally. The meetings include members of the China Development Bank and the executives of the company. This information was disclosed by attorney for the embattled logging company in Guyana, Pratesh Satram. The CDB's involvement came after a US $60 million loan the logging company had secured from the bank was placed on limbo when the Guyana Forestry Commission pulled the plug on Bai Shanling's joint venture arrangements here. The Guyana Forestry Commission has terminated the joint venture arrangements Bai Shanling shared with 5 local companies. It also revoked its state forest exploratory permit. However, the Evening News understands that the investment agreement that had been inked between the company and government remains in force. Should the investment agreement be terminated, Bai Shanling will be liable to repaying all of the fiscal concessions it had been granted over the years to the tune of billions, in addition to the $80 million the GFC claims it owed. The GFC on Tuesday last announced that it was moving to repossess concessions held by Bai Shanlin. Reporting for the Evening News, Davina Samaru.
2 people are dead while 3 others are injured after the car in which they were traveling slammed into a horse and ended up in a nearby trench. More in this report.
Dead are the driver of PPP 4744, Richard Ramnarayan, 45, a businessman of number 46 village, and Ramesh Rampat, 23, a porter of the same village. The injured have been identified as Prakash Gangaram, also called Rex, 24, of number 47 village, Rameshwar Bangar, also called Boy, 31, of number 46 village, and Mahindra Rampakash, called Sneeze, 24, of number 47 village. The 5 were in the car when the accident occurred. Gangaram, Mangar, and Ramprakash were rushed to the Skeldon Hospital and subsequently transferred to the New Amsterdam Hospital, treated and sent away, while Ramnarayan and Rampat were pronounced dead on arrival at the Skeldon Hospital. The Evening News understand that the men were reportedly drinking at a pool's bar at number 47 village. At about 20 hours 30, they decided to go home, with Gangaram being the first to be dropped off. However, before they got to number 48 village, a decision was taken to go for a washdown at number 50 village. They never made it.
While they're going down, the 5 of them, they take the car and was going at that direction for Skellan. They were heading for Skellan side. And when they reached by 49, entering 50 village, they hit the horse. The horse was running out on the street. The guys them said, the people them of that village said the horse, 3 of the horse was running out of the street. And the first horse, the car hit. And the other 2 horses turned back. He hit the horse, and after he hit the horse, he hit a culvert. And after the culvert, he ended in the trench with the side turning over.
Police are investigating.
Non-governmental organizations came together on Saturday evening to spread hope through countrywide vigils in observance of World Suicide Prevention Day. Davina Samaru brings you details in this report.
Several non-governmental organizations combined their efforts to successfully execute the event, which was aimed at spreading hope and letting people know that help is out there whenever they need it. Vigils were organized by the Caribbean Voice, the Society Against Sexual Orientation Discrimination SASOD, The Prevention of Teenage Suicide, POTS, the Leo's Club, the Miss Global International Guyana team, the Guyana Hindu Dharmic Sabha, and other religious groups in all 3 counties of Guyana. POTS Guyana Vice President Ruth English Wilson explained why her organization participated in the vigil.
So we saw it fit for us to do a candlelight vigil standing in solidarity of Guyana's fallen children, those who are still suffering from depression and from being sad and still are thinking of even contemplating suicide, and for those survivors, because we need to remember them. The survivors, anything can trigger them. So we are standing in solidarity and in prayer for all those persons who we've lost already and the persons that are still holding on, and for the persons who have already survived.
The Leo's Club hosted its vigil at the St. Stanislaus College on Brickdam, where a handful of Lions along with a few of the Miss Universe delegates turned out to participate. Carol Lovell, representative of both the Leo's Club and the Caribbean Voice, lamented that not a lot is being done to help persons who are in need.
Well, every day you're watching news, you're always hearing somebody commit suicide and persons. I don't think there's a lot being done to help young people who are depressed or going through some mental illness or whatever be the case. But I want the government or the Guyanese people in a whole to come out together and work with the Guyanese people to reduce the suicide rate in Guyana.
Meanwhile, Pastor Diego Alfonso, delivering a speech on behalf of the Social Protection Minister Waldo Lawrence, urged NGOs to intensify their efforts and reach out to areas in the country where the scourge of suicide is more prevalent. Persons can reach the Suicide Prevention Hotline on 600-7869, 623-4444, 223-0001, or 223-0009. Reporting for the Evening News, Davina Samaru.
Thank you, Davina. Scores of persons gathered on Sunday morning to participate in a walk to raise awareness to the rampant social ill of suicide. Davina Samaru has details in this report.
The walk was organized by the Public Health Ministry in observance of World Suicide Prevention Day, which was observed globally on September 10th.
It's preventable, people, it's preventable.
Paho Country Representative Dr. William Adukro highlighted what can be done to address the issue.
It's not only for the healthcare givers, but for all of us. We have to care for one another. We have to be each other's keeper. So as we go off from here today, my exhortation to all of you is, please make sure that this day counts. If we can make a difference in one person's life, it's one person that we have saved. Let us make sure that suicide does not become an issue that we talk about all the time. China had the same problem, and China has been able to deal with it. Suriname had the same problem. They have been able to deal with it. Albeit, in the case of Suriname, now their numbers are also rising. So we have to be mindful of what goes on around us, what goes on around our families, our children, our extended social circles, friends, and make sure that we can impact them.
The Guyana government is working with several organizations with the aim of reducing the soaring suicide rates in the country. Through training of mental health personnel, counselors, and social workers, organizations are hoping to build a support network which can be readily available to reach out to people in need. Already, the Suicide Prevention Helpline is in operation and can be contacted on these numbers. Only on Saturday last, several NGOs held countrywide vigils in observance of World Suicide Prevention Day. Reporting for the Evening News, Davina Samaru.
Some 16 months after being in government with the A Partnership for National Unity, the Alliance for Change says it is very much satisfied with the performance of the coalition and would be ready to continue another partnership in another election. Alexis Rodney reports.
Alliance for Change's leader Kemrat Ramjatan, a vice president and minister of public security in the coalition government, told a Friday press conference that his party is satisfied with the representation it is receiving as a partner in the coalition, which was successful at last year's general and regional elections.
Absolutely. This government is a united, cohesive government. And even if it was just a one-party government, within that one-party government, you would have people arguing the cases for certain things within the cabinet, within the National Assembly. And so you will have differences. And knowing very well that the coalition arrangement can ensure that you have even more differences and more disagreements, we feel that we are doing a real fantastic job of it thus far.
He said the challenges are particularly great in developments and issues that have reared their heads of recent.
We are dealing with them very, very well, like with the Shamir Ali, the bond issue, a number of other issues that came up. We are dealing with all of these and with a view of ensuring that what is enhanced is the public's interest.
Responding to criticisms that the party has reneged on its promise to keep the APNU in line, Ramjatan said his party has not violated any promise it made to the country, particularly supporters of the Alliance for Change. In fact, he said that the AFC is doing the best it possibly can to find out what were the wrongs done before, noting that it will take a Herculean effort to have some of the issues resolved. He said the coalition is very open to criticisms from the public.
First time in Guyana now, must be allowed wherever that criticism comes. If it is the commentary in a major article, whether it is the lyrics in a song, whether it is a cuss down on the street corner, this coalition government is going to listen and take action where action ought to be taken.
For the evening news, Alexis Rodney.
Join us after the break for your regional and international news. Thank you for staying with us. Regionally, the Colombian rebel group, the FARC, has handed over a first group of child soldiers as part of a peace accord signed with the government last month. The International Red Cross said the 8 children would be given mental and physical examinations before being taken to temporary reception centers. They said the ultimate aim was to try to return the young people to their families. The FARC says it has 21 soldiers under 15 years old. The Colombian Defense Ministry has put the figure for those under 18 far higher. And internationally, a cessation of hostilities has come into effect in Syria, although it is unclear how widely it will be observed. The Syrian army says it is observing the truce, which began at sunset, but rebel groups have been more guarded. U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry, who helped broker the deal, warned it could be the last chance for peace in a united Syria. Humanitarian groups are hoping to make aid deliveries to the worst-hit cities, especially the war-torn city of Aleppo. And now for the bridge reports. The Demerara Harbor Bridge is expected to be closed from 14 hours 30 on Tuesday, September 13, 2016, for a period of 1.5 hours, while the Berbice River Bridge is expected to be closed from 11 hours 45 on Tuesday, September 13, 2016, for a period of 1.5 hours. Hitmire, Moti, among 8 Guyanese selected for Sri Lanka tour. This and more coming up in sport, which is brought to you by Macorp.